Mevlana says, abundance is seeking the beggars and the poor. Okay? Abundance itself is seeking the beggars and the poor, just as beauty seeks a mirror. Beggars, then, are the mirrors of God's bounty, God's abundance. And they that are with God are united with absolute abundance. Abundance is seeking beggars and the poor, just as beauty seeks a mirror. What an interesting conception. The divine itself is seeking you. We are the beggars. We are the fakirs. We are the poor ones. And we're poor in order that the ultimate richness, the ultimate abundance can come to us and bring its enrichment, bring its beauty. So the agency is with God. And the divine is not abstract and impersonal. The divine is something of incredible beauty, generosity. And it's the seeker. Maybe we thought we were the seekers. We are. But even before we began to seek that infinite abundance, awakened us to seek. So one of the most characteristic ideas in this mystical conception of the divine is that the divine is the agency of transformation. The divine is coming after us. The divine is seeking us. The divine is seeking each of us to manifest its beauty. And we, instead of being, yes, we're also egos that project a lot on existence. We project our frustrations, we project our distortions on what is. What's truth about it? That we need to be purified of those distortions. There's work in that. There's polishing. The practice of muraqabah, and meditation, and remembrance of God, and taqwa, and vigilance, being aware of our accountability, of being responsible for even the smallest negative thought and false judgment. We have that work to do. But the extraordinary thing is this infinite power, generosity, and beauty. And this true power and agency that is the greatest active force in all of existence, and is the purpose of our existence is to know this, to realize this. There's no greater purpose than to understand the true proportions of all of us: generosity, beauty, intelligence, and love. So another selection from Mevlana. That which God said to the rose, and caused it to laugh in full-blown beauty, he said to my heart, and made it 100 times more beautiful. You can feel the power of this, you feel the significance of this. How much it is in contrast to many of the conceptions I described previously. And then he says further, giving thanks for abundance is sweeter than the abundance itself. Should one who is absorbed with the generous one be distracted by the gift? Thankfulness is the soul of beneficence. Abundance is but the husk, the shell. For thankfulness brings you to the place where the beloved lives. Thankfulness brings you to the place where the beloved lives. Abundance yields heedlessness. Thankfulness yields alertness. Hunt for abundance with a snare of gratitude for the King. Gratitude is the fundamental foundational virtue out of which all of the virtues arise. Thankfulness for everything. There's a beautiful calligraphy, and it's on the cover of my book, The Knowing Heart. And it says, it's an Ottoman calligraphy that says, give hamd, give gratitude, give thankfulness for the creator of hamd. In other words, be grateful to that infinite source that created gratitude. For most human beings, it would be quite a feat just to be continually grateful, to recognize, to be thankful for what is. And often our attention is on the gratitude for the gifts itself. Why not? But it's a greater gratitude to know that the gifts, that there's a giver of those gifts, which is the divine. And it's even a more subtle, more beautiful awareness to be grateful, not just for the giver, but that the giver of gifts gave to our hearts the capacity for gratitude. Much more beautiful than anything. So we see where this is going. We see how Rumi is leading us into a different reality, into a reality of qualities, a qualitative reality. But this is the direction of this wisdom, of this teaching. This is what it's doing for the human being. It's different than serving a distant authority who has scared you into being good, out of fear of hellfire or out of attraction for the rewards of heaven. And it's different than the mystical oneness, which whose only purpose is to be there in its impersonal reality, and that our egos may be removed from the picture, and the human story, the individual human self has no purpose in this picture, no purposefulness. But in our understanding, every human soul is in the process of being enriched by experience, most of all by the experience of the divine. But all of this existence is a soul-making project. All of this existence is an opportunity to realize the qualities of reality itself. And as each individual human soul comes to consciously know, experience, embody, and reflect, and share those qualities with others and with the natural world, with all of existence. This is a process of divine manifestation, the divine coming, heaven coming down to earth, and earth being raised to heaven. Out of this, our devotion, our worship arises. And we will worship move it on. When he says, everyone who delights in some act of devotion can't bear to miss it, even for a short while. That disappointment and grief are worth 100 prayers. What is ritual prayer compared with the glow of humble longing? He was telling a story about someone who had missed the prayer and he arrived a little bit late for the congregational prayer. And people were coming out, and when he realized he had missed it, he let out such a sigh of longing that one of the people said, I will trade my namaz for your sigh. Also, this is extraordinarily simple and profound. But we know remembrance of God is the foremost practice of our tradition. It's much more than a moral imperative. It's much more than something we should do. Because the human being who is in that state of remembrance is transformed by it, takes on its qualities. We are changed. You are changed. A different kind of human being arises out of the continual remembrance of God. Rumi puts it, here's one of the many things he puts it. If your thought is frozen, first of all, just get that. If your thought is frozen, practice remembrance of God. Recollection of God brings thought into movement. Make remembrance the sun for this congealed thought. Unfreeze yourself. Unfreeze your heart. Unfreeze the rigidity of your mind with the remembrance of others. Now, of course, Rumi also tells us that we need to have a very great longing. He says, don't pray for water, pray for thirst. Because if you have the thirst, Allah will bring the water. Get that? Pray for thirst. He says, the mouse soul, most human beings are just little nibblers when it comes to spirituality. The mouse soul is nothing but a nibbler. To the mouse is given a mind proportionate to its need. Oh, that's to the mouse, a mouse gets a mind proportionate to its need. For without need, the Almighty God doesn't give anything to anyone. Need, then, is the net for all things that exist. Need is what attracts. The human being has tools in proportion to his or her need. Okay? The human being has tools, has gifts, has capacities in proportion to what you need. You're going to live a sort of humdrum, average life. Okay. And that's exactly what you'll be given in terms of your capacities. Rumi says so quickly, increase your need, needy one, that the sea of abundance may surge up in living kindness, in loving kindness. The sea of abundance may surge up in loving kindness. Increase your need. See, again, we're talking here about a spiritual teaching. We're talking about what this wisdom offers the human being. God said to the rose and caused it to bloom. And then too, he has a very jalal, powerful teaching about the nature of ego. Something has to be done about the ego. By ego, we mean the false self that is based in vanity, in greed, in self-importance. And Rumi addresses that. There is an extraordinary work ahead for us, an extraordinary responsibility if you are a lover of God. If you want your yearning to be more than a little nibbling, mousy yearning. So Rumi says, conventional opinion is the ruin of our souls. Look around you. Look at the life around you. Look at your own life. Look at the values you're surrounded by. Take a clear look. Conventional opinion is the ruin of our souls. Something borrowed which we mistake as our own. Ignorance is better than this. Clutch at madness instead. Always run. Run away from what seems to benefit your ego. Sip the poison and spill the water of life. What poison is that? Revile those who flatter you. In other words, don't go looking to win the good opinion of everybody, but conforming yourself to their conventional opinions. Revile those who flatter you. Lend both interest and principle to the poor. Let security go and be at home amid dangers. Leave your good name behind and accept disgrace. I have lived with cautious thinking. Now I will make myself mad. What kind of madness is this? It's the madness which is the true divine sanity. It is what appears as madness to the ego that is sanity. So I was saving the Jalal for last. Just to know that this is the work of heroes and heroines. It's not something here to console us, make us feel good. Make us feel good with false assurances. And yet you are loved. You are loved more than you imagine, more than you can know. This is one of the most powerful experiences on the spiritual path. To find through direct experience that you, despite your weakness, despite your mistakes, despite our hypocrisies, you're still loved. When we know that, our response will be to become worthy of that love. It's a different morality. It's not earning rewards and trying to escape punishment. It's a spontaneous response to the very nature of reality itself, which is loving, beautiful, and generous. So we see how far we've come from those original conceptions. This is more than a big machine, this existence, more than an arbitrary mechanism. But the divine is more than a distant authority figure who has laid down commands which we had better follow. Great danger. Being punished, thrown out of heaven. And also, it's much more than the mystical oneness that requires that we simply erase the self. The self, in our understanding, has a beautiful purpose. The purpose is that spirit, ruh, is in love with nafs, as shocking as that is. Ruh, which is the infinite spirit that comes into the world through the human heart, is in love with the nafs, the self, because it needs the nafs to manifest. When we say nafs, we're not talking about the lower level of nafs, the compulsive, craving self. But we're talking about your very individuality, your conscious individuality, which is a creation of the divine, which is not a mistake, which is not an illusion, which is a manifestation of the divine that has the potential to receive directly from spirit through the heart, to manifest the divine qualities in relationship and in perceiving the self, being able to perceive that we live in a world of divine qualities. And the purpose of our lives is to know that, continually, to be awake to the theater of divine manifestation. Be grateful for that. To be in awe of that. And little by little to become reflectors of that ourselves, mirrors of that ourselves. To bring that miracle into existence for our children, for our partners, for our friends, for our enemies. This is all Rumi's message. This is all, and it's no different from the other great awliya, the other great saints of our tradition. There's no contradiction among them. There's no conflict in this basic truth, in this basic understanding. Each of us is like a being that has arisen out of this oneness, but with the potential to contain and embody and reflect all of the qualities, attributes of that oneness. We're the drop that contains the ocean. We're not the drop that will dissolve in the ocean. We're the drop that contains the ocean.